The University of Virginia has reinstated Teresa Sullivan as the president of their flagship university. 16 days ago, the Board of Visitors had urged her to resign. She eventually did so, puzzling a lot of people, including the faculty, staff, and students at the University of Virginia. However, many people protested her decision to resign, and now, 16 days later, the university has decided to reinstate her as the president.
So the head of the board is this comically named Helen Dragus, who sounds like, you know, an evil comic book character, like, and then here comes Helen Dragus. And she comes in and she's this clown of the earth who thinks that, oh my God, we're gonna do like business-like things here. We're gonna be quick and we're gonna have strategic dynamism, which just means we're gonna act fast. Okay, that's their like cutesy little business terms. And she conspires with some of the top funders of UVA. Now, one of them is a hedge fund guy who has done really good charitable work otherwise, who's also given a lot of money to UVA, but is convinced that strategic dynamism, profits is the way to go. So these guys who are supposed to be this brilliant come up with the idea of, hey, maybe we should be more like for-profit online schools. Fail. Now, University of Virginia is top 25 school in the country. You want to be more like Phoenix University and Full Sail University? Now look,
that got investigated by the Department of Education because of their fraudulent recruiting process.
12% of the people in this that go to college go to for-profit
colleges. Yeah. 46% of them default on their student loans.
No, 46% of all the defaults in the country are from those schools.
Yes, yes.
So 4 times their rate of going to those schools, basically. So they're not getting an education. They're defaulting because they come out and they're like, oops, it turns out we can't get a job because they didn't teach us anything, nor did they give us an ability to get a job the way that they promised. Anyway, so how could they think that that was a smart business decision? They're like, oh yeah, maybe see, the thing is, we never figured out the scam. Because it wasn't just the one hedge fund guy, it was also the other guy, and we've got internal emails. One of the donors writes to Dragus, oh, this is the way to go, you know, these online schools, man, they're great, they know what they're doing. And then she writes back an email to another person on the board that quotes a Wall Street Journal editorial, and Wall Street Journal says, oh, colleges like Phoenix University are the model for how to do college right. What? What? I mean, so that makes me think nobody at the Wall Street Journal is that stupid, right? If you told anybody at the Wall Street Journal, hey, okay, great, if you think they're so great, why don't you go to Phoenix University?
Why don't your kids go to Phoenix
University?
University?
Why don't we send your kids to Full frickin' Sail University, right? They'd be like, oh, no way, no way, no way, no way, no way, right? Now, there's got to be a scam. They were probably going to somehow profit off of this. They know the guys who run those universities, yada, 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 right? So Dragus thinks, oh, yeah, I'm going to get in good with these guys. And by the way, everybody on the board appointed by politicians, and every single one of them has given money to politicians, okay? So they're all political appointments. They don't know anything about education. They're not in the education field. They do this like clown-ass coup where they get rid of the president, and then the Senate, then the whole campus explodes. She's incredibly popular. She hasn't done anything wrong. She's been there for 2 years. The faculty love her. The students love her. Everybody loves her, right? The faculty took a vote 50-0 in her favor to reinstate her. 50-0, right? And then the governor, Bob McDonnell, who is a Republican, panicked. And he told the board, I'm going to fire all of you unless you come to a decision by yesterday, okay? And so he didn't say rehire Sullivan, but it was pretty clear.
Right.
In other words, he was like, you dumbasses, you should have never let those emails leak. You should have done this in a smarter way. You know, normally when Republicans put a hatchet in your back, they're a little bit more clever about it. These guys were ham-handed, so he's like, backpedal. So Helen Dragus comes out yesterday, he's like, hello everybody, this is a press conference and I'd like to show you a couple of things. Backpedal.
Yes.
Okay, she got the hell out of there. She's like, oh, we all agree it's great to have Sullivan back and we should have consulted more with you guys, yada, yada. And then she says,
I immediately regret this decision.
She did immediately regret the decision, as she should have. In terms of the scam and what was really going on behind the scenes, a lot of it has to do with fundraising. A lot of it has to do with funding. You know, they were interviewed on To The Point on NPR, and a lot of the conversation had to do with fundraising and whether or not the university president was doing enough to fundraise for the school. It's all profit driven. We know that already, right? And this desire to move toward a for-profit college model is all about the money, right? Let's make sure that we cut costs by giving people a shitty education. And in the meantime, we're going to collect more in profits. So maybe we get rid of some of our faculty and staff and go toward online classes. It'll save money. It's easier for us. That's what it's all really about. That's at least my guess. Because what other purpose or what other reason would you want to go to a for-profit college model?
Right, and the only other part of this equation that makes it actually a little bit worse is that the business school, for example, has divorced itself from the rest of the college so that they can charge more. Now remember, it's a state school. It's supposed to provide education. It's one of the best state schools in the country. If you live in Virginia, you're lucky that you live in a state, at least in this regard, that has a terrific state school, right? Mm-hmm. But the business school removed itself from there. Why? Because they wanted to be able to charge more. So one of their genius ideas for making a bigger profit is charge more. Okay, yeah, I know, but you're a state school, and the whole point of charging less is so that the kids can afford it.
Exactly.
Right? And of course, one of the reasons that they do all the cuts is because the state has cut their funding.
Yeah, that's the real problem here, and we're seeing it throughout the country, where the state will cut the funding. So having politicians speak out about this issue irritates me, whether it's the governor or state legislators. You guys need to do something to fix the funding problem when it comes to higher education. State schools are no longer accessible to people who don't have tens of thousands of dollars to spend on tuition each year.
Here's what I would do, and of course, no one in Washington would ever consider this, or at the state levels. But if we had a real democracy, it would probably be one of the most popular things you could do. I would make state schools free.
Yeah, that'd be excellent.
Okay. Now, you say, oh, you can't do that. No, of course you can. Are you kidding me? Well, just don't go to war with Iraq the next time. Okay? So don't go to war with Iran. You'll have an extra $1 trillion. Okay. Now, look, I'm oversimplifying it, but not by much. Okay? It's a matter of priorities. Where do you put your priorities? Now, the reason I would make them free is because education is the great equalizer. So then, if you're a poor kid growing up in, Western Virginia or wherever it might be, and you don't have any opportunity, you know that if you can get into the state school, you're at least going to get a free education. And you're not going to pay for it for the rest of your life by, being an indentured servant, et cetera, whatever it might be. And it would actually make us the land of opportunity. Here's the other thing it would do. It would create a whole new class of people who could be our pioneers, who could invent the next, industry, who could populate, be the workers of that industry, et cetera, et cetera. But that would actually help the American people, and it would help everybody. It would help whites, blacks, Latinos. It doesn't matter. It would help all of us. It would help the middle class. So, of course, Washington would never, ever consider it.
Washington wouldn't consider it because they're not interested in investing in our country. They give businesses incentives to go send jobs to other countries. They no longer invest in our education. Everything's falling apart in this country. Americans are asleep at the wheel, and nothing's being done about it. It's a really big problem when you're taking money out of our higher education system. Only the wealthy can afford a decent education, and at the same time, all the jobs are moving to different countries. This country's falling apart. And when you bring up the whole defense spending angle of it, Cenk, not only are you right, it angers me every time I think about all of the politicians that are in favor of going to Iran, for instance. Really, we haven't wasted enough money in Afghanistan and Iraq yet? Like, we need to waste even more money on invading another country that doesn't even have nuclear weapons at this point.
And they'll turn around and say, they'll be the first to say, we can't afford education. I mean,
Exactly.
I'd love to give more money to the state schools, but we can't afford it. Can we afford a multi-trillion-dollar war in Iran? Well, of course, it's not even a question.